Zoomers. I was just kidding. We figured it out. You can see the podium. It makes so much more sense. Welcome to Helicon West. Yay!
Yay!
Thank you, Star. Welcome to our October 14th Helicon West. I am Camille. I am your MC this evening. Helicon West is a live reading series that brings published local writers to read alongside community members in an open, uncensored forum. In order to promote the voice of every community member and democratic ideals, we honor all levels of skill, ability, and craft. In addition to featuring published authors to give the literary arts more exposure in Cache Valley and its surrounding areas, we invite and celebrate aspiring writers from every walk of life to find and share their voices with us. We are committed to the causes of inclusion, accessibility, and representation in our writing community. I want to thank our sponsors, the Bear River Heritage Area, the Logan Library, Sugar House Review, Utah Humanities. Tonight we also have added sponsorship from Hiram City Museum, which we're super happy about, and then of course our patron Sing Star program.
Yay! Yeah!
Yay! I like this one. If you want to read during that open mic portion, please read during the open mic portion. We want to hear your voice. Please sign up. Where did our sign up sheet
It's
go?
over on the table with the coffee.
It is over on the table with the coffee, says Sean. He pointed that way.
That's it.
If you are on Zoom, please let Brittany know, and Brittany will let me know, and I will add your name to the list. So, and we have several Zoomers. We have Britt Allen, Emerson James, Mariah Walzer. I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, Mariah. And then we also have, I believe it's Diane Hardy with us tonight too. So we actually have a great crowd in our first hybrid format of Helicon West, which is super exciting. Yes, open mic, let us know. We want to hear your voice. All of our Helicon West events are recorded and then posted to our Helicon West YouTube channel. If you do not want to be recorded but would like to read during the open mic, please make a note by your name when you sign up, and we will happily turn the camera off when it's your turn. So, I made it through the speech. Now the announcements. I'm almost there. Helicon West is made possible by our generous sponsors and by the community we serve. To help us stay in person until the new Logan Library is built, not to mention hydrated and caffeinated, there are several ways to make a donation. You can support Helicon West by donating online at sugarhousereview.com/save-helicon-west. You can scan our QR code and donate through PayPal. And you can also leave just, change. You could just give us money. That's the other way you can donate to us. Help us continue to bring free literary events to our community. If something moves you, if the coffee revives you, if you got a great date out of tonight, please consider leaving a tip to help keep a good thing going. Okay, so I am so happy about tonight. Tonight is in conjunction with a really exciting program called H2O Today, which is a statewide effort. H2O Today is a traveling exhibition created by the Smithsonian Institution and brought to you by Utah Humanities and the Bear River Heritage Area, which I and my colleague Jamie are a part of. The exhibition, which is currently being housed across the street, just right over there, at the Hiram City Museum through February 2022, explores the beauty and essential nature of water, our planet's lifeblood. H2O Today is part of Think Water Utah, a statewide conversation on the critical topic of water in collaboration with various community partnerships such as Helicon West, through immersive content, interactives, and digital media. The exhibition, along with a host of sister exhibits and activities, including tonight's water stories, explore the diversity and challenges of our global water sources, as well as Utah's unique relationship with water. Water Stories was co-created as part of a three-part community writing series called Affluents, led by Emerson James of the Bear River Heritage Area. I am going to turn the time over to Emerson, who is with us via Zoom, to talk a little bit about that. And Sean, would you be willing to come unmute Emerson so that they can present? Just on my laptop, right there.
They can unmute.
Actually, just kidding. Britt's got it. Yes, Britt?
Should I mute us? No.
Unmute us. Okay, I think we have sound through the Zoomers now. So thank you, everyone, for your patience. Emerson, I'm going to turn the time back over to you.
All right. Well, I feel like what I have to say will take less time than it took to hear what it is that I have to say, but I appreciate all the humans who made that possible. All the folks I can't see out there, I'm imagining you. So, as Camille talked about, the Affluents workshop series entitled 3 workshops that were focused on exploring our relationship with water, giving voice to this relationship through writing, and adding elements to the craft of writing to our toolkit. One unique element of the workshop was that between each of the 3 workshops, participants were invited to go to a water spot of their choosing to explore ideas presented in each of the workshops. So the first workshop focused on the 6 elements of fiction, specifically setting and characters. The invitation was to consider how a setting might be described differently if written from the perspective of water, or how a story might be shaped with water as the main character. The second workshop drew on a primary tool of nonfiction, creative research. This was rooted in Wendell Berry's understanding that imagination is to see clearly with the mind's eye, and that it is this empathetic, clear seeing of the living world that leads to affection. We considered how creative research and imagination work in dialogue together and can transform our relationship with the more than human world. Lastly, in the final workshop, we turned towards elements of poetry, such as metaphor and line, as we work towards final revision. For me, attending to language at this level can be an act to ensure one's words are a responsible representative of the land. It's to ask questions such as, is what is written as true to the water, its landscape, its spirit as it can be? Is it as true to the writer's landscape, and the writer's spirit as it can be? I picked the word affluent as the theme for these workshops, because although in the present we most commonly use the word to describe a person, family, or society with wealth and abundance, affluent originally meant flowing freely or in great quantity. An affluent or tributary is a small stream that flows into a larger parent river. For me, the word affluent serves this workshop because this is what we hope for, our creativity in writing. That it flows freely into the larger river of understanding and art. So I feel like what it is that you'll hear read tonight are just some of those streams. So with that, I'll turn it over to our writers and readers.
Okay, our readers tonight are in this order: Shannon Ballum, Brock the Chair, Sarah Woodbury. Is Sarah here? I don't know if Sarah is here. And then Star Colbert.
Okay, so Joseph just asked me if we could somehow turn on closed captioning. I couldn't see the option on the bottom of that screen. I know it's possible, but okay, just so possibly we could read what our Zoomers are saying, because it's, even though we can hear them, it's difficult to make out all of the words. Okay. First of all, I just want to thank everybody who's, this is a team effort here, getting this going. It's really cool to be able to have people that are not here be able to be present with us via Zoom. I know Emerson is in Alaska, so this is very cool. I also want to thank Emerson for the workshop that they did over several weeks, 3 weeks. Wonderful exercises, just fantastic that I'm going to steal from you, Emerson, for my own classes. And I just wrote one poem based on the exercises, but I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to work with the participants and with Emerson and to write this poem, which is an important poem for me and is now a poem that is a series of poems I'm writing about my family. So my parents are both alcoholics, and I've been able to now explore that a little more in the last couple of months, and I'm really excited to be able to work that out. This is called Hot Spring, Norris Geyser Basin, Yellowstone Park. Deep blue throat ringed with green, blossoming to yellow, ochre, crimson. Steam and sulfur sting my face. In a field of white mineral crust, the spring's rainbow bloom is so hot, so acidic, it could scald and then dissolve your skin. Near the edges, green and yellow splotches cling, and through binoculars, I see they are monkey flowers, their lips flecked with red, little skinned knees. My heart leaps. They are just like we were as children, trembling near the edge of danger, living on the fringe, tiptoeing across the eggshell-thin surface of our father's alcoholism, its kaleidoscopic complexity, our lives ever shifting, his bright smile dissolving after the third drink, red face twisting into glass-eyed rage, and I lean closer to the pool, closer in to take a picture. But a sudden change in wind blinds me with steam, and when it passes, I see I have turned around. I am too close to the edge of the boardwalk. The sapphire throat opened to swallow me, and dizzy, I stumble. I am unstable. There is no bottom to this. One more misstep, and this life will collapse. I'll free fall in the scald, boiling alive. Thank you.
I echo Shannon's thanks to Emerson and to everyone involved in getting this going. As Emerson said, we were supposed to choose a spot that has something to do with water. And I chose the irrigation ditch that sometimes flows in the back end of our property. And then we were supposed to research it at some point, so I figured out where the water came from that comes down to our ditch. A little bit of that ended up in this first poem, which is called Moving Water. A more patient Brigham Young might have said, "This is the place," about Cache Valley, where springs and marshes water fertile flatlands, and you're never far from a church or a ditch. I'll hand it to them, those old saints. They knew how to move water around. They battled over damming the river, who got how much water, dug a web of diversions off the river and town, doling water to canals operated by outfits like the 7th Ward Irrigation Company. The water that sporadically fills our irrigation ditch splits from the Logan River at the east end of the island, becomes Little Logan River in the fairgrounds' narrow stone-lined channel, then our branch, the southwest field ditch, heads west in a fight. When the water reaches our stretch of ditch, light blue forget-me-nots sway in the current, redolent mint lines the banks, buckeyes bob to us from downtown trees, clear, swift water still cold enough to hurt, sways brown bulrush heads, plays a liquid tune falling through sticks caught in the boundary fence. We own a half share of our ditch, whatever that means. Once the water gets to the river, it all belongs to the Pacific Corps. If we took more than our half share, we'd be stealing from them. I can't help but wonder how it ended up theirs, who originally sold it, how water donated by dozens of springs can be owned. that one leaves out the best detail about the ditch, because I put that in. The first thing I wrote for the Affluents was a short story about hope from the point of view of the ditch. The best thing that comes down the ditch are these things called buzz balls, which are about the size of an apple filled with some kind of alcohol. And one actually came by and was full of alcohol. I don't know who sends them down, why. But anyway, that's a different poem. One other poem, 2 weeks ago, we went down to Escalante and Boulder to the Cliff Notes conference, and we hiked out to one of our favorite places in the world, which is Upper Calf Creek Falls. It's different. It's changed, so that's what this poem is about. As you see, it also concerns water. Upper Calf Creek Falls, October 2021. Airy falls split the sandstone walls, semicircular embrace. Once the seeps fed vegetation every shade of green, orange, brown, gray, black, dangling, creeping, following folds and fissures, a coat of many desert colors, gone. The upper seep is dry, the wall lifeless, blank. The lower seep sprays green only near the base. What we called the most beautiful place on earth, now a simple waterfall into a deep blue-green pool. Time was, anything that changed mountains or glaciers or shoreline would unfold over many human lifetimes. When we were kids, we counted on the stability of lakes, forests, waterfalls, timeless as a lichen covering the rocks, until the last decade, when black dots replaced the healthy flakes, leaving an etched outline that now blends into natural browns and whites. The seep was healthy just 3 years ago. Water would trickle down from the hills, perk through fissures in the sandstone, emerge after months to feed mosses and maidenhead ferns. Now nature's arteries are dry. Desperate flowers bloom in absurd numbers for October. Evening primroses, scarlet penstemon, blue grasses, a yellow carpet we can't identify. We may not come down here again. We feel guilty adding footprints to the soft secret trail to the fall school. We're privileged to have in memory the seep's living palette no one else may ever see. Thanks. Downer poems.
I was so grateful to Emerson for telling us to go sit by the water and write, because I always love to do that. And so tonight I want to start my water stories with just a couple that I forgot my reading glasses. I'm wondering if my new glasses will work, so we'll see. So I've always sat by the Bear River, and I've written a lot of poems about water that flows in the Bear River. And so I'll just read a couple out of this book that have a lot of Bear River poems, because I was born and raised there in Riverdale, Idaho, and if you grow up along the river, you just have a natural water rhythm that goes through you all the time. This is called Before the Dam. All along the river we were young and walked the dirt roads barefoot. Night and day we wandered the riverbank, plunged off its edges, followed the ditch bank where it curved around hillsides on its way from the head gate, drank from springs and waded up to our knees in pasture water, hiked the steel-banded siphon, water jets fluming down gorges through fields, always rocky corners of fields, tattered sagebrush and prickly pear, deer hiding in juniper scrub, grouse and pheasant startling up Already what we knew was vanishing, all but the bravest of birds and furred souls, bald eagle nesting in cottonwoods, red fox denning inside hills. Beneath the grass along the river, bones and implements, the shards we bury. I'll read just one more out of this book, and then I'll read what I wrote from Emerson's Sitting Beside the Water exercise. This one is called River Once Removed. It's an old one, and a lot of people here already know this one, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyway because it has water down the river and water in the siphon and water in the ditch, and yeah, River Once Removed. Barefoot, I walk the steel pipe that carries water down Shale Hill to fields where my family worked the land along Bear River. The siphon's silver coolness sings beneath my feet, metallic pings reverberating down the valley, river curving through cottonwoods, pastures dotted with cattle. Cold shoots up my ankles like the ache of memory, shifting, changing course, shallowing to gentle ripples. Gone the old swimming hole where the river bent and split for an island of trees, a place to pull from floating, lie back in the shade on a still, hot day. At 10 years old, I skinny dipped with my sister, hiding from brothers who told on us, boy cousins who spied. We snaked out of suits, water swirling over skin, bellies gritty with sand, scraped by rocks, carp, driftwood. Uncles taught us to catch crawfish, turn over rocks and grab fast, squeeze hard at the back where the arms connect so claws wave and grasp. We hooked their soft bellies for fishing, gathered rock rollers, left night crawlers for the town kids, for cousins who didn't know better, cousins once removed, girls who wore two-piece bathing suits, drank gin, smoked cigarettes, and told us about sex. But I'd already guessed, run the river down my legs, pulled the river from my hair, wiped the river from my face. At 12, my life began to shift, erode its banks, crawfish disappeared, cousins got pregnant or died too young. My mother, who could never save me, went to work to keep the farm. Sisters married and gone, dad dead from cancer. At 13, I left the river, left my family, the farm, that troubled world, left the cousins, boys who touched my breasts, men who held me underwater, left the valley that carried the river, that carried them into me. Slapping my feet on the siphon, I smooth the ripples in my mind, remember 13, 12, and 10. Remember the way I constructed my island, the moss, the grass, the rocks all around, the places I cushioned, the roar, the necessary hardness. So when I went and sat by the water, thank you, Emerson, I went and sat there in my mind because we have a new puppy at our house and we're doing an addition. We are too busy to go out to Riverdale and sit by the water, but I have done that so many times that it's in there. So this one is called Under the Surface, and I want to say that I wrote this at Cliff Notes, that conference that Brock was talking about. There was also a writer there named Michael Branch who asked us to write about place, and there will be echoes in this piece from the Thin Spines of Memory book that I just read out of. So we'll be revisiting some of the things I read there. And then after this I'll read one more. But this one is new, and it's called Under the Surface, and it's in two parts. 1. The surface, glass-like, easy to plunge a hand through, delve down beneath, water heavy, pressing, pushing, clear yet green with bits of matter, moss fragments, bug wings, bark and sand suspended, bumping against the hand that plunges to grasp a visible rock, rounded, smooth yet granular, about 8 inches large, oblong. Rock, the color of rocks in a rock pile that covers one side of the gravel pit above the farmhouse, where workers dug down to extract gravel to build the canal that circles the hills that surround the Riverdale Valley, where the Bear River flows down its bed, which is lined with more rocks, just like this one, but different. This one is about a foot from the shore, where the water is shallow, but never absent, so the rock is always shiny and slightly slippery. It rests next to other rocks, wedged in the clay of the river bottom. Reach down through the fish guts and algae-smelling water, slightly tinged with cow dung and willow, to nudge and push the rock. As it loosens, heave it over and grab fast at the crawfish that scuttles from its hiding place in the dark murk of mud and sand. Grab the 3-inch-long brown armored body just behind the pointed head, where the neck segment connects to arms with pincher claws at the end, claws that scissor together and snap into a brutal pinch if you miss. Let the rock go, stepping back from the water that roils with sediment from under the boiling, cool pressure of life at the depths. The crawfish waves its brown tail as we grip it tight. In the sunlight, see glints of green in its brown. Carry it, writhing and snapping, its pointy beaded eyes, its wire-like antenna to the bait can, where it waits for the hook, for the fish it will catch. 2. When did they disappear, the crawfish? When did the family tradition, taught by example and perpetuated generation after generation, begin to fade? Was it when Uncle Lou moved out after Dad died, when Uncle Lou tried to convince Mother to marry and care for him next, so Mother invited him to move down the road, go live with relatives on Uncle Sam's side of the family? Was it when the DDT wiped out entire populations of red-winged blackbirds, the cattails on the pond at the farmhouse no longer warbling and trilling in thick, shining fabric of bird, 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 and frogs lost their night-long cacophony of croak songs that came in through the unscreened windows of the farmhouse, along with the occasional bat at night or the carpet of wasps on the bedroom floors in the early morning cool of fall? Or was it when the power company agreed to level out the flow of the river to stop the accidental trapping of cows and fishers on islands when the river rose so quickly? To stop the near drownings of foolish waders who ignored the foaming roar of water coming down the bed, the wall of it, and then the ebb eventually, sometimes hours later? Was it when the nitrogen-saturated farmland for new fertilizer products made in Soda Springs, the runoff from fields dumping into the Bear River year after year, algal blooms blocking the sunlight, plugging the water intakes at the headgates of ditches that irrigated the fields and orchards after spraying for bugs and weeds and accelerated growth to harvest time? Was it the road construction, the excavation and application of road base along the river, the asphalt, the oil, the scree sliding down to the water's edge, the decades of heavy traffic through the valley, where houses soon rose in and beside the meadows, the cottonwoods dying, the river sludging into scum on those once shining rocks that we turned over to find crustaceous treasure for the family tradition that has disappeared with the crawfish. And in this book, Walking the Bear, I'll read you my final poem, the title poem from this one. which is called Walking the Bear. Oh no. Oh yeah, here it is. It's the first poem in the book. And this is my final poem. Walking the Bear. I walk on water, take the river from its high Uintas down Utah's Cascades, wander Wyoming's meanders, Montpelier's meadows, to Soda's hairpin curve, where 30,000 years ago, lava turned the bear away from Blackfoot's snake and sent it down to grace. Doubling back from Gem Valley to Cache, I walk the river's cobbled bed where tributaries surge, Rowdy Cub, Little Bear, Beaver-headed Logan, 6-timed fork of Blacksmith. Down the length of floodplains I pass, through wetlands of cattails and bulrushes, to bottomlands leveled and drained, where the river silts in, slows down, its honeyed pace tamed for grain. On the river's gliding current, I travel miles each step, a dreamlike passage through cedar and cottonwood, hawthorn and chokecherry, lifting like a heron over dams and sluggish lakes that halt the river's breath. I walk the bear all summer as it builds strength again, widens into marshes, joins in lush, bird-heavy congress with the great peculiar spot, a lake that would surely die if not for this river, this path, this milk and honey.
Thank you, Shannon, Brock, and Star. Really lovely. Okay, it is now the open mic time. So we've got 4 people signed up for open mic. I'm going to be sitting over here. If you're not on the list and you want to be, please come sign up. But the first, we've got 4 readers. I'll just read them all off, and then if you forget, just look at me and be like, yeah, it's your turn. We've got Dominic, Millie, Lana, and then Britt from Zoom is also going to open mic with us. So, Dominic, you're up.
Hey folks, hope you guys can hear me all right. My name's Dominic. I'm new up to this area of town, and I was recommended to come here, and I'll be honest, some of the stuff has been amazing, so I'm extremely glad I came. I'm going to be sharing 2 poems. One's titled April Showers, and the other is Mayflowers. Obviously they go hand in hand, and they're both about my father and my mother, respectively. April showers. The world really is changing, once a day, little by little. My father remembers a time when it never snowed in April. I remember the day that changed. Some people think all snow is the same. You don't want to hang around those guys. People like that are stuck, a rock in the river of change. People really do change, once a day, little by little. My grandfather remembers a time when people were different. He isn't around anymore. Him and I share a birthday, so I like to imagine him changing with me, once a year, little by little. I try to remember what he believed about change. People are never really gone, he would say. I try to remember that. Thank you. Mayflowers. People really do change, some not for the better. My memory of my rose, so clean and bright and colorful, contradicts my reality, so withered and twisted. Life still lingers within my rose, but not one I recognize, not one that smiles. I love my rose through obligation alone, and I ache for the rose that once was. People really do change, often without asking. Even the flowers of May, as beautiful as they are, struggle to preserve their life when April brings only snow. People really change, once a day, little by little. Thank you.
Okay, I believe it's my turn now. So I'm going to assume everyone can hear me until I'm told otherwise. I put on my headset and hopefully that helps with clarity. Thank you to everyone, especially Emerson, for the reason for Helicon tonight, to Camille and to Jamie out there in Hiram getting everything set up and ironed out and getting there early. Thank you to Sean, Star, Millie, all of our featured readers, all of our open mic readers tonight. We're learning a lot, right? Oh, and the coffee. Thank you, Joseph, for the coffee. I wish I could have some. But we're learning tonight, right? I'm learning how to enable closed captioning for Zoom, which my frantic research tells me I need to enable before the meeting starts next time. And we're learning we need a speaker, right, and a long cord, so that perhaps we can set a speaker closer to the microphone in the future. So thank you all for making Helicon happen tonight. I love Helicon so much, and it's very growing pains are painful, but it's amazing to see how we're growing. So I hope you can hear me all right. Emerson, thank you again for this workshop. I really regret that I wasn't able to participate as fully as I wanted to this semester. But so instead of an original piece, I found a very short, like flash fiction piece I wrote about a year ago that has to do with ice. And ice is water, right? So here we go. Ginger put one bare foot on the ice, leant forward on her toes until the hard pond water cracked. It hit her ears like a snicker, but felt like a razor blade under the ball of her foot. The crack went deep, but not far. The teenage girl kicked off her other boot and yanked off her wool socks, stepped fully from the bank onto the ice. The pond barked in surprise. "Fuck off, Ginger," Tara croaked, choking on a hit from the short joint in her fingers. She flicked the butt into the snow, leaned into the open hatchback of their mom's Subaru with her legs lolling over the back bumper. "The fuck are you doing?" Ginger slowly pulled the knit cap off her head, dropped it, and took another step. A branch off the crack widened under her, the ice grinding its teeth. She was sure her feet would be bleeding. The pain was so sharp, but there was no red. Maybe her blood was freezing up inside her, like when Brian's condom came off inside and semen spilled down her leg. Maybe her blood was freezing upward, and if she got off the ice, it would thaw and go gushing. Her sister was yelling now, "Jesus, Ginger, get off!" Ginger hobbled forward another step, numbness already deep in the bones of her foot. Truth be told, her toes were cold when they parked. One look at the stoned blue water was all it took for the blood to pull back toward Ginger's heart, adrenaline signaling emergency. Now it felt like she had wooden legs. She didn't need to stop, did she? Stop what? Ginger, stop it! Was it the hormones acting this way or the weed? Something propelled her further onto the ice, halfway to the middle now. Something drew her fingers to the zipper of her coat, pulled it down. Maybe this was actually why pregnant women weren't supposed to smoke. It wasn't for the baby, it was to keep the mother from going crazy. Somewhere behind, Tara screamed about calling Mom, the police, Brian, Mom. The skin feathered off the sides of Ginger's feet, clutched to the ice, her prints pink butterflies. The coat fell from her body, then her jeans. Actually, she was naked. Hadn't she always been naked? She acted like she wasn't, put on all sorts of flabby and tight and cotton and lace and itchy things to pretend she wasn't naked. With the ice gnawing up her thighs, making each step a wobble, her nipples screaming at attention on her breast, Ginger felt true. Truer than she had felt since her 6-year-old self floated in a porcelain bathtub in the minutes before her grandfather forced open the door. Now there was dirt inside her, a clod seated up inside her that reminded her of all the uses for her naked body. This was nakedness. It wasn't only hers now, was it? Ginger stopped in the middle of the dead pond. It wasn't cracking, but every tooth in her mouth was with the force of her shaking. She heard the Subaru start, sputter in the snowy bank, then lurch. Tara was gone. Whether she went to get cell signal further up the canyon or just got away so she wouldn't see, Ginger didn't know. Her knees were bucking with chill, but she'd have to jump. Swinging her stupid arms up for momentum, Ginger bounced on the ice, maybe half an inch. Nothing but the sad slap of her feet from the frosted mirror below. Harder. Ginger leaned into her knees, jerking into a crouch, then kicked off the ice again. The shock to her joints when she landed pinballed through her body, but still the ice held beneath her. She charged up and down again, slamming her legs so the numb, dumb things skidded out, and Ginger heard a different crack when she fell, a whisper from her tailbone up her spine. Harder. But she couldn't stand up, her limbs scrabbling like plucked spider legs, the kind she would use to chase Tara around the yard. Ginger's legs were too far away from the hot impulses of her brain to obey. She couldn't feel them at all, just watched them flail like the daddy longlegs. Her bare palms stuffed themselves raw beside her, twitched to a standstill. Ginger was on her back again. She couldn't do it this time either. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other open-minded people? Any last minute, I just don't know, but I'm gonna do it. Okay, it's okay if not. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. This was so wonderful. I love gathering with this group so much. I just had a couple of last minute, or not last minute, but just closing announcements. First of all, if this is your first time at Helicon West, we're so happy you're here. Please keep coming back. This is a great group. Thank you for bearing with us with the technical difficulties of trying out a hybrid format in a different space than where we usually are. Please keep coming back, because we do want to keep hearing your voices, and we want to get to know you better, and this is just one of the most supportive spaces in the Valley, so we want to get to know you. So for next time, I also wanted to just bring up H2O Today again really quick. To learn more about H2O Today exhibits and activities taking place between now and through February of next year, there's a whole calendar of events that is full of really exciting things at bearriverheritage.com/H2O. And also there's a calendar on the table along with the Think Water Utah essay that was written by Greg Smoke, which is a beautiful essay. So go check out that table because there's a lot of really cool things over there. And then our next Helicon West gathering is next week on the 21st. We will be having a special event in conjunction with the Utah Teen Poetry Festival and Utah Humanities. Helicon West will take place in the Cash Arts Thatcher Young Mansion in Logan, beginning at 6:45 p.m. It will feature the Logan Poet Laureate Shannon Ballum, who read for us this evening. It's very exciting. And also there will be an open mic as part of the Utah Teen Poetry Festival programming. You do not have to attend the other events at the Utah Teen Poetry Festival or be a teen nor educator of teens yourself to attend Helicon West or read during the open mic portion that evening. So come check it out. It's going to be great. Also, the Thatcher Young Mansion is a really cool place, full of rich history, and we've been able to do a couple of things over with Cash Arts through Helicon West and the Bear River Heritage area this fall as well. So it's great. Come check out that cool space. It's just downtown. Helicon West is starting earlier than usual that evening, 6:45 instead of 7, to accommodate the participants of the Utah Teen Poetry Festival who wish to attend the Moth Storytelling event, which is that same evening at 7:30. And then the Thatcher Young Mansion is located at 35 West, 100 South, downtown. If you know where the Ellen Eccles Theater is, it's just right behind it. And there's plenty of parking, so come check it out. And that's what I've got for you tonight. So thank you. Round of applause again for everyone. And thank you to our Zoomers. Oh, that was so fun to have Zoomers.